All right, you guys. So we're going to be exploring composition part 3 this week. And last week we were focused on the triangular composition and the circular. And now we're going to be moving on to 2 different types. So this week's topic is radiating line. And radiating line has to do with all these lines leading to one point. You want to kind of picture a sun, and the rays of the sun are the radiating lines. This is useful because the eye naturally will follow lines and will watch where they lead to. And if you have a whole series of radiating lines leading to a point, you can place your focal point on that point where they all intersect. These are some master paintings that I want to show you that utilize that composition type of radiating line. So you can see I've drawn on top of here with some kind of magenta marker. That's to help you to see the perspective and how all the lines intersect. This composition type is helping this painting to achieve a greater sense of depth and to kind of lead the viewer around the composition a little bit more effectively so that they can explore the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. In this contemporary painting, we're looking at another radiating line composition. There's also a little bit of an S-curve in the back, but those radiating lines up in the foreground help to direct the eye to the back in the middle ground so you can explore more of the painting. So those are lavender fields, and they're planted in rows, and the rows are what creates that radiating line. So these lines that are fanning out. Now in this one we're looking at a Van Gogh painting, and at first it's hard to tell that there are radiating lines. That's okay if it's hard to tell. These can be implied lines. So I'm going to draw on top of here so you can kind of see with the magenta where those radiating lines are. He is using a form of perspective here. And it is a one-point perspective. So this is a scene that you might find locally if you go to Davis or Fairfield or Vacaville and you look at the nut orchards or the sunflower fields or the corn. If you view it from a particular angle, you will see the rows kind of line up and create leading lines. So it's also obeying that idea of space and depth, where the tree closer to you is thicker and it should be a little bit taller, and as they go farther away, they get skinnier and a little bit paler. And you can see they all kind of radiate towards that point. Again, implied. And here it's a lot more obvious that this is radiating line. You have this road, it's creating kind of a triangle. It's using one-point perspective, and even the shadows are helping to reinforce those lines to lead to that kind of farmstead off in the distance. Even a manicured lawn can create lines or stripes on them that can become radiating lines. So this is a really helpful tool to get the viewer's eye to focus on a particular area. The second composition we're looking at is the L-shape composition. And this one's pretty easy and it's very popular. So this is simply the shape of an L, and it can be backwards, it can be flipped, and it can be kind of implied, like this painting that we're looking at here. I'm going to draw the L right on top with the magenta line so you can see it, but that sycamore tree constitutes the vertical axis of the L, and then the foreground, which is in shadow, is the foot of the L. Yeah, there's stuff beyond that, but it basically forms that L shape. So L-shaped compositions lend a sense of stability. They have a lot of balance to them because that vertical mass kind of helps to offset the horizontal. So it creates this really nice balance, and it's an asymmetrical balance, which tends to be more pleasing to the eye. So that's what we're looking at here, and like I said, all of these composition types can be applied to any genre. So we're looking at a still life right here. Could this be applied to the figure? Of course. So we're looking at another landscape, and you can see there's a mass that's very vertical, very strong, heavy weighted because of the value. The darker the value, the more weight, visual weight it has. And then it's kind of balanced with that horizontal line. So it has a lot of strength, stability, calm to it. I did say that this can be applied to the figure too, and that's what we're looking at right here. This is one of my favorite painters. This is John Singer Sargent, and I love this pose. I think it's really fun and true to life. And this woman is indeed forming an L shape. The top part of the L, the vertical line, is short, and then the one to the right is longer, and that's formed by her outstretched legs. And then you get all this beautiful wrinkles and drapery folds from her dress. So there's a lot to kind of engage the eye. This composition is both S shape in kind of the curvature of her spine and her hips, but it's also forming an L too. So her body represents the top part of the L, the vertical, and then the ground plane that she's on is the bottom base part of the L. Like with all previous compositions that you've done, I would love it if you did a 4x6 and you put a rule of thirds grid lightly over the top. And I'm showing you several examples of master artists' work that demonstrate really good sense of the thumbnail sketch, the value, and some of the composition types we're looking for. There's 2 radiating lines, and then there's one of the L composition. You will be doing one of each, and please put a label on which one it is, and please submit. Thanks.